PPP2 forgiveness, that you all have a great sense of what you need to do in order to get it done successfully. Next slide, please. Okay, so everybody talks about the covered payroll period. And it can get really, really confusing sometimes because the covered payroll period is either going to be 8 weeks from the date that the loan proceeds are dispersed, or any 24 weeks, basically, or 24 weeks from the date the loan proceeds are dispersed to the end of the 24-week period, which is either 56 days or 168 days. So that's only when the loan is dispersed. Day one, you're supposed to use the money within 8 weeks or within 24 weeks. But there's alternative periods too, which the SBA has been a little bit more understanding, because like here in Nevada, we have Las Vegas. You got your PPP funding, but the governor has shut your business down and you're going to be shut down for 30 days. You may need an alternative period other than the day you receive the funds. And that basically is something that the SBA has been very helpful with. Now, let's remember something more important than anything. Most of the loans are under $150,000 that receive PPP. If you receive less than $150,000, there's even going to be more leniency with most lenders, not all lenders. Some lenders are still being a little bit more sticky on the rule, but in most cases, you're going to be automatically forgiven anyway. So, but again, as long as you don't violate the use of the money, as long as you don't use it illegally, or you don't buy a boat with it or put a down payment on a house, you're usually going to be forgiven. So with an alternative period, if a borrower has a biweekly payroll or an alternate payroll period, like say you pay once a month, you're allowed to use that ultimate opening date as your start date. And then you still have to disperse the funds within 8 to 24 weeks. Okay, next slide. Okay, so for individuals that basically that get cash compensation, okay, that could be cash compensation, that could be even 1099s, which we'll talk about later. You would use that. You can only, remember, everybody can only get up to $100,000. So no matter what you get in cash compensation, you can only use up to $100,000. If you use the 8-week cover period, the total amount that you can use is $15,380 something. I can't remember, I'm hiding it. $385. If you are using a 24-week period, you can use up to $46,154. So this became a problem with a lot of independent contractors. They got $20,832. And somehow the SBA threw this curveball in, and they were showing an 8-week cover period, and they said, well, you're only forgiven for $15,385. But then they came back and said, but you approved me for $20,832. Do I have to pay the rest of the forgiveness loan? And what the banks were doing is they were just changing the coverage period from 8 to 24 weeks so that the full $20,832 would be absorbed. Next slide, please. Next slide. Okay. Okay, so if a 24-week cover period applies for any owner, employee, or self-employed individual, like a 1099, then the salary cap is $20,833. So remember, if you're an independent contractor, you should disperse the money over 24 weeks as opposed to 8 weeks, and then you'll be able to get the full amount forgiven. If the borrower collects an 8-week period, it doesn't make any sense to do so. You'd only get $15,385. So most of the good banks, what they were doing is they were just changing the cover period from 8 weeks to 24 weeks so that the full forgiveness amount would be taken into consideration. I mean, that makes sense, correct? Right. Next slide, please. Okay, so now they're talking about FTEs. FTEs, for those who don't know, mean full-time equivalent or full-time employment. So for each employee, whether it's the covered period or alternative period, basically you have to have an FTE count. You take the average number of hours paid per week divided by 40 and round it to the nearest tenth. So if you have 40 hours, that's one employee, 80 hours, 2 employees, so on and so forth. So each employee will get assigned 40 hours per week and a half for less than 40 hours. I'll tell you the truth, with most people that I've done PPP forgiveness with or helped them, we almost completely disregard this whole section, because at the end of the day, your payroll reports are going to show how much you received or how much money was spent. And as long as that amount was 60% or greater of your PPP amount and the non-payroll was 40% or less, it really doesn't matter how many people that you have because there's all kinds of safe harbors that come into play as well. So just keep that in mind as well. Okay, next slide too. Okay, so here's safe harbor. So for whatever reason, you're not able to receive the same level of employment as before February 15, 2020 due to different compliance and guidelines and requirements, you will be forgiven no matter how many employees you have. So if you had 10 when you applied for PPP and you only have 5 because only 5 would come back, you're going to be, that's called safe harbor. You're going to be forgiven no matter what, especially if your loan's under 150,000, which most of you will be. Next slide, please. And then if the borrower's reduced FTE employees during the period of time, that's also allowed too. I mean, again, at the end of the day, you're trying to employ as many people as possible during your PPP, but there are things that are coming, extenuating circumstances. People get COVID, get sick, you know, and you can't replace them. Then all of a sudden you're going to be stuck with less employees. Do not fear, you will still be forgiven. Next slide, please. Okay, the 6 reduction exceptions. For any employees during the covered period, the borrower made good faith written offer to rehire the employees, were fired for cause, people voluntarily resigned, they voluntarily requested and received a reduction for their hours, borrower made a good faith attempt offer to the employees other than to other employees to come in and their offer was rejected. And the borrower was unable to hire similarly qualified employees for unfilled positions before the end of last year. Any FTE reductions in these cases do not reduce the borrower's loan forgiveness. So these are all, you know, if you try to, all you have to do is attest and certify that you tried to get all your employees back, that they did not want to come back, or some got sick, or somebody had a fire because they were not doing their job, or they voluntarily resigned. You do not have to worry about not getting SBA PPP forgiveness if any of these things happen. Next slide. Okay, so what is payroll cost? So let's make sure we realize what all that is. So payroll cost is basically your gross compensation, you know, compensation to employees in the form of salary, wages, commissions, similar compensation, cash tips or equivalents. And that basically is your base payroll cost. That any payment for vacation, parental, family, medical leave, or sick leave, that's also considered payroll cost. Any allowances that if an employee separates during the payroll period, during your 8 or 24-week period, that is a payroll cost. Any payment for provision of employee benefits, including group health care, insurance premiums, and retirement. So this is basically, this has gone back and forth whether or not retirement pay can be included in payroll cost. Obviously, this is saying it is. It can. Payment for state and local taxes assessed as compensation of employees. And for, and this is interesting, and for independent contractors or sole proprietor, where wages, commissions, income, and net earnings from self-employed and similar compensation. So remember, the independent contractor or sole proprietor can't be used in the payroll cost of a person, of a business, but the independent contractor can apply for PPP on their own. So let's not get confused here that you can add independent contractors to your payroll amounts. Now, I just actually met with a business that had independent contractors, but all their independent contractors were also included on their 941s, and they were covering taxes for independent contractors, which was very strange. Never saw that before. It was a Chinese business as well. So we were able to inflate or increase the amount of payroll costs that they have because they weren't truly independent contractors. If you're paying them and paying taxes for them, then you're basically, they're still employees, but you're paying them as 1099, which is very strange. So we're trying to figure out how to fix that for them because I've never seen it before like that, but obviously with this situation, it worked out that way. Next slide, please. Okay, so summary of eligible payroll costs for payroll. So payroll costs paid and payroll costs incurred during the 8-week or 24-week period. Payroll costs are considered paid on the day that the paychecks are distributed and the borrower originates an ACH credit transaction. Payroll costs are considered incurred on the day the employee's pay is earned. So there's some people that get accrued payroll and you may not pay them out, but a week deferred, but they've already accrued it because they put in the time. So that counts as payroll costs. And payroll costs incurred, but not paid during the borrower's last pay period of the covered period are also eligible for forgiveness. Otherwise, payroll costs must be incurred or expensed during the covered period. Next slide. Summary of eligible non-payroll costs. Now remember, this is going to change for PPP2. So initially it was mortgage interest payments, okay? It was rent and lease payments, and it was payments for distribution of utilities, electric, gas, water, transportation, telephone, internet access, okay? So utility costs. Remember, the non-payroll costs can't exceed 40% in order to get to the total forgiveness, and count non-payroll costs that were both paid and incurred only once. So remember, for PPP2, they've added operating expenses, which is a very general term. They've added supplier expenses, very general term. They've added any expenses you add for PPE, that's pay protection equipment. So masks, if you have a business that you put up plexiglass screens, if you disinfectant lotion, any of that you pay money for, that can be an eligible non-payroll PPP cost. Okay, and I think the last one, did I forget one? Let's see, it's operating expenses, supplier expenses, PPE. Oh, and if you incurred any damage due to riots during the summer months and had to make repairs to your business, those are also eligible PPP non-payroll costs. Okay? Next slide, please. Okay, so at this point, I'll generally talk about, I know that you were going to have Amanda Prochaska on, who basically is not with the SBA, and I'm not directly associated with her, but she has been involved with some of the banks I work with in putting together the PPP forgiveness application program, taking my documents and my information and putting them into DocuSign and aiding several banks across the Western region in the PPP application process. There is a new forgiveness application. It's called the 3508EZ for loans under 150,000, which will be most of you. It's 3 pages long. It's separated into 3 sections. Pages 1 and 2 must be submitted to the lender. Pages 1 include the PPP forgiveness application. Page 2 is the certification. Then page 3 is the borrower demographics, which you can or don't have to give to your lender. Remember, all applications for forgiveness go to the lender that lent you the PPP funds. It doesn't go to the SBA. It doesn't go to my Aunt Joyce. It doesn't go to the President of the United States. It goes to the lender that gave you the PPP funds. Champagne, you're supposed to smile. I told a joke.
I'm actually reading the self-employed part.
Okay. And basically, as Champagne was just alluding to, this application, the 3508EZ, is only for the following type of borrowers: self-employed who have no employees, did not reduce the salaries or wages of their employees by more than 25%, did not reduce the number of hours to their employees, or experienced reduction in business activity as a result of health directives related to COVID-19 and did not reduce the salaries or wages of employees by more than 25%. So these are the people that generally are 3508EZs, but I'm telling you, basically every loan under 150,000 that's been submitted under 3508EZ was accepted by the SBA or by the lender and then submitted to the SBA. Next slide, please. So this is basically the document. Do you want me to start going through this in general terms?
Yeah, if you could give us a little info, just really briefly over it, because later we could definitely have Amanda to hop on and then give us more of the technical part.
Okay, sounds great. So in this form, the most important things you need, do you have like an arrow that you can point things, as I said?
I got you.
There you go.
I got you.
Okay. So, right. So that's the most important thing right there, is what your PPP loan number was for your PPP loan. It's important for this, your loan forgiveness for PPP1, but it's also very important, as Champagne will tell you, for your application for PPP2. You have to know what that number is. You also have to know what the loan amount was exactly. I'm seeing PPP2s get rejected because they put the wrong PPP loan amount in their application for PPP2. So remember, your SBA PPP loan number for your PPP1 and your PPP loan amount for PPP1 are very important things. Your lender loan number, that should come when you get funded. And the disbursement date, obviously, you'll be able to check back to your emails when actually dispersed. The number of employees, the time of application, the number of employees, the time for forgiveness. And previously, you needed to know your idle advance amount and your idle application number. Now, something that has changed in the process, and I'm going back to some other notes, is the idle advances are no longer deducted from PPP loan forgiveness payments. So that was happening for a while. So that's, you still have to put that information in there, but it's not going to affect your loan forgiveness anymore. Congress changed that rule, thankfully. And now we're in a situation where you still have to give the information for forgiveness of PPP1 or PPP2, but it does not come into calculation. You also will talk about what your payroll schedule is, whether it's weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly, twice a month, other, what your covered period is, and if you used an alternate period. And then if the borrower together with affiliates receive PPP loans in excess of $2 million, you'll check there. Okay, next slide, please. Then there's the most 8 important lines, okay? The first line is how much did you pay on payroll? The second line is if you paid anything toward mortgage interest. The third line is if you paid anything toward rents or lease payments. The fourth is, did you make any utility payments? You're going to add all 4 of those lines up to line 5. Then you're going to say what your PPP loan amount is. So say those top 5 come to $100,000, okay? And your PPP loan amount was $100,000. Line 7 is the most confusing to a lot of people. You're going to take your payroll costs, your 60, your 60%. So say of the $100,000, you spent $60,000. You're going to take that $60,000, right? And you're going to divide it. Remember the word divide, because a lot of people were multiplying it and they were wrong. And what you do is you're going to say $60,000 divided by 60%. And guess what that equals? $100,000. Guess what? So your $100,000 line 7 is looking at, you got $100,000 you spent, $100,000 PP loan amount, a $100,000 line 7. So that means your forgiveness amount will be the smallest of the line 5, 6, and 7, which is $100,000 because they're all equal to $100,000. So in essence, you're fully forgiven. That's how they calculate it. You're going to take your payroll costs. So say your payroll costs were $100,000, okay? So you take the $100,000 and you divide it by 60%, and that number is $166,666.67. So your line 7 would be $166,666. Your line 5 will be $100,000. Your line 6 will be $100,000. And if you look at your line 8, it says, what's the lowest amount? That's what you're going to be forgiven. It's going to be $100,000. You're fully forgiven. Okay? That's how this form works. And it's easy to use. Very easy to use.
So
Okay.
I'm going to do an example for in case people who have received funds as an independent contractor, if you do this, you will notice that it's way more than your approved amount, but we're looking at the smallest number. So with
Right.
the smallest number, you're going to pretty much pick that amount, which is that $20,833 or $32. Is it
That's fine.
800? Is it 32 or 33? Because I noticed
Some banks give 33 and some banks give 32.
I will want to get extra dollar.
Well, if you get it forgiven, so be it. Go give it to the poor.
Okay,
All
because
right?
it says so 33.
I know. I understand. So under this scenario, basically, like what Champagne just said, your line 7 will be 34,320. Your line 5 will be 20,832. Your line 6 will be 20,832. You're going to take the smallest of the 3 and get 100% forgiven. Okay? So that's how you use your 3508 EZ form. Okay. Let's do next slide. Let me see what that says. Okay, so the next page, page 2, is all your certifications attestation. So they're going to basically ask you to initial, thank you, each, not check them off, initial. So it's going to say Champagne Woo on each one of them. And it's going to be not with your computer, it's going to be by hand. So the first question they're asking is the dollar amount forgiveness requested was pay to use employees, 60%, 24 weeks, blah, blah, blah. You're going to say, sign it off, initial it. Next, I understand if funds were knowingly used for unauthorized purposes, the federal government can throw you in jail. You're going to sign that one. The third one, bar did not reduce salaries by more than 25%, blah, blah, blah. You're going to initial that one. Borrower has accurately verified the payments of eligible payroll costs, non-payroll costs, and the borrower is requesting forgiveness. You're going to sign that one. Okay? Next slide.
Go get the extra $1.
Yes. You're so funny. Okay.
So yeah.
So the next question is, I've submitted the lender required documentation verifying blah, blah, blah. Yes. You're going to initial that. Information provided is the application. Information provided all supporting documentation is true. You're going to initial that. The tax documents I submitted to the lender consistent with the bar submitted with the IRS. You're going to initial that. I stand and acknowledge and agree the SBA may request additional information. You're going to initial that. Next slide. And then the last two, you have to initial at least one. The bar did not reduce the number of employees, blah, blah, blah. Bar was unable to operate between these covered period, blah, blah, blah. You're going to initial one of those two. That's going to help you, especially if there's a delay in how you use the money.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you're going to sign it. You're going to print your name, and you're going to put your title. Next slide.
Hey.
Somebody have a question?
We'll open the panel for questions in a bit.
Okay, so if you're not at 3508, which is probably very few people on this, so we're going to go through this real quick. There's a revised forgiveness schedule, which is 5 pages long as opposed to 3. You're still going to do your PPP forgiveness application. You're still going to do your certifications, but they're adding a Schedule A, okay? And this is for most of the time, $150,000 or greater, okay? Next slide. Schedule A worksheet. Okay, so so everything else is the same as the 3508 EZ except for this document. So here, if you do have more than 150,000, they're going to ask you to list your employees and during the covered period, the alternate period, that type of thing. And anybody received compensation from the borrower and the analyzed rate, and it can't exceed 100,000. So Schedule A is basically just providing a list of your employees. What a lot of businesses did, they just provided an ADP report that ADP or one of the payroll services had put together specifically for PPP forgiveness. And that's the only difference between the two. Next slide. It's okay, same thing. And then you're basically, here's some questions that are alluding to Schedule A, the support document, how much, what your average FTEs were, what kind of compensation you gave, and you just basically go down each section, which I'm going to have, I think Amanda's going to take this on when she comes on the phone, if she's not been on, or if she's not already on. Amanda, are you on already?
I don't think she is yet.
Okay.
She'll be
I
happy.
know she had a conflict that she was trying to get out as quickly as possible.
Right. I don't think I see her name yet. Let me
Okay.
I can check.
Okay. Next slide. Okay. All
We're
this
just gonna
stuff.
save that for Amanda then.
Yeah, exactly. So
Let me just open the panel for questions.
Okay, let me touch on 3 things before. So the thing that borrowers must understand with PPP loan forgiveness, and this is from the latest and greatest from the SBA, is that several things. The all advance is no longer deducted from your PPP loan forgiveness payment. Expenses paid with PPP loan funds are federally tax deductible. So if you've got $100,000 PPP and you used it all for your payroll, you can still include those payroll expenses in your P&L You're not necessarily, you don't put the money, you don't show, it's very interesting. You don't show the PPP loan as revenue. It's basically just a balance sheet thing that goes in and out, but you can show the expenses. So say your business did $1 million and you got a PPP loan of 250,000. You don't show the 250,000 to 250,000. You don't add it to your $1 million in revenue that you earned as a business. You only keep it at the $1 million. But that 250,000 that you paid toward payroll is in the body of the P&L. It's an expense. It's allowable expense. Now imagine this. Let's put it this way. The IRS shouldn't allow that because this is a grant, or this is basically a grant fund. And normally the IRS would not allow you to expense it. But Congress passed a rule that said, listen, we don't want unanticipated profits for a business if they have to disallow expenses. So all those who understand what I'm talking about, it was a very important move that Congress pulled to basically get individuals to the point that they could basically expense this. There's expanded forgivable expenses are permissible for any unforgiven PPP loan. So if you don't get a portion forgiven, you can basically expand your forgivable expenses for the unforgiven portion. So say you spent 25,000 of that 100,000 on printing, and that's a non-forgivable expense, and you end up with a $25,000 loan, you could still put that 25,000 on your on your P&L. And the most important thing is anyone under 150,000, there's going to be a very simplified application process, just the 2 pages we just went over with 3508EZ. And you know, that's the intention of the bank and the SBA is to forgive as many as possible, to forgive them all under 150,000. Okay, so that's what I want to just let everybody know. I'll take questions now.
Wow, that's so, I really love number 2. I mean, actually, I like 1 and 2 and 3. They're really great modifications there. So, Joe, one of the questions is that, is EIDL loan advance tax deductible or are they taxable?
Remember, EIDL's a loan. Okay, do you pay taxes on loans?
No, you don't.
So that's your answer. You don't pay taxes.
Cool. Thank you. All right. Actually, before I start asking, I came across a lot of people who had applied for PPP 1 and they have received funds, but when it comes down to PPP 2, where they would like to apply with Amanda, for example, because you know they will qualify for more money. One of the hurdle is that they're stuck with, they don't know what is the PPP 1 loan number, and what amount they know, but not the loan number. So how should we go about it? Because when you ask the lender, like Chase Bank or any of those, you know, Wells Fargo, whatever, you're just like on a loop. You ask, hey, what is it? They're like, you got to ask SBA. SBA says you got to ask the bank. So what is the best advice on that?
Okay, so if I understand the question, so if somebody applied for PPP 1 and didn't get it,
They did get the money and they
Okay.
want to apply PPP 2, but they want to apply with possibly Amanda because they could qualify for more money, for example.
okay, well, I mean, you're not, in PPP 2, you do not have to go back to your original lender. So there's no problem
That's
there.
true. We know that, but we don't know the loan number. How do we get the loan number? SBA
If somebody has a problem, okay, with they don't remember their loan number, I would say this is what they need to do. They need to send to Amanda, if you're working with Amanda, the name of your company, the name of the company on the application for PPP 1, and the exact dollar amount you received for PPP 1. She will normally then forward that to somebody in my office who will then find out what the PPP loan number is.
Okay, well, we're waiting for that number. There's like a couple of them. Okay, another question. So for some, you know that some of the banks where, say example, they have approved for 10,000 and then later on they decide to take back 2,500 or 3,000. What is the loan amount approved? Is it the actual, because they decided to take the EIDL advance money?
Well,
So,
if they did that, they're going to have to give the money back, number one. So it'll be, yeah, there's a congressional, by law, they should not have taken it. And there's certain banks that did that. And they shouldn't have, as far as I can tell. it's going to be what the original loan amount was. It wasn't, even if, you know, if they got 10,000 and 2,500 was taken by Bank A, it's still the 10,000 was the PPP loan amount.
So I did come across where they have appealed and asked for the money back. Say example, I don't know if it's a good idea to name banks, but the bank actually
No.
refused.
Yes, I know who the bank is, and no, do not name names. But yes, they will have to give the money back.
Okay.
Congress has just passed the law saying they should not have removed the idle advance from the PPP loan.
Okay, that's great. So I will let the person know. Okay, all right, I'm gonna go through questions now. Okay, so here's a question. If they were to apply for PPP2, should they apply for loan forgiveness first, or they should
No.
apply for PPP2?
Let's put it this way. They do not have to apply for PPP1 loan forgiveness first. They only have to attest that they've used or intend to use the money. That's it.
So from my side, I will encourage you to apply for loan forgiveness. I will encourage you to apply for PPP2 first and then apply for loan forgiveness. That's what I was told by Amanda. I'm just speaking for Amanda now.
Okay. Yep.
Okay.
I see one here. Let me help the 1099 people.
Okay, cool.
Okay. So remember in PPP2, which we're not actually talking about today, but we'll allude to it. The first point of eligibility with PPP2 is that you got PPP1. The second point of eligibility is that in any quarter, and that is calendar quarters in 2020, so say the second quarter of 2020, you have to have a 25% or greater loss in revenue compared to the second quarter, the identical second quarter for 2019. If you have those two situations where you've gotten PPP1 and you have a 25% or greater loss in revenue quarter in 2020 compared to quarter in 2019, you're eligible for PPP2. Okay? So that's one of the most important things.
Okay, so I think go ahead.
So for somebody like a 1099 person who doesn't have P&Ls, somebody's playing music in the back. Okay,
Okay, go ahead.
So a 1099 person that doesn't normally do P&Ls, what I've instructed them to do is one of the ways to prove a reduction in revenue.
就是走路一拐拐有个瘸子吧？
对对对，他是有点踮脚。
哦，是的，是的，太不里边。
Okay,
谢谢。
Mute everybody.
I muted everybody.
Okay. So what you need to do is basically take your bank statements from, say, the second quarter of 2020 and compare them to the same bank statements for April, May, June for 2019. If your bank statements, your revenue in your bank statements in 2019 was 100,000, and your bank statements in 2020 between April and June, your revenue, the money you deposited was 20,000.
Please mute yourself so we don't interrupt this meeting here. Please mute yourself. Thank you.
So that will basically help you prove the most important, or the second most important point of PPP2 eligibility, which is if you're a 1099 contractor, you can use your bank statements. Okay.
So I think the question was also earlier. You mentioned that it's federally tax deductible. I'm guessing that, say, example, you receive $1 million in 1099. You just need to add the money received onto the PAL, not so much as onto the actual commission or 1099.
No, you can only get up to 100,000 anyway, so you'd be limited to 100,000. But yeah, if you had a 1099s valued at $1 million, you're very lucky. And yeah, your tax, from your tax filing standpoint, your Schedule C, you would have to put that $1 million as your revenue. Yeah, but that's a whole different story.
Not the 1 million plus 20,000.
Mm-hmm. So 1099 individuals, do we deduct payroll? 1099s are contractors, and you're implying for yourself, you wouldn't have a payroll. I mean, so that doesn't make any sense. Now, if you receive 1099 funds, but you own a business, because I own a business, okay? I get 1099 funds every year. People are basically telling me, this is what we paid you, this is what we paid you over the year to me or my company. You basically, anything as a business, I would apply for PPP using W-2 employees. As an individual, I would use a 1099, but remember, you can only get compensated up to $100,000.
Okay.
All right. Want to give me
All
a
right.
couple more questions and then I have to bug out of here.
Do you want to answer these questions or you want me to actually?
I can scroll down. I can scroll.
Okay, cool. All right.
Okay, there isn't that many. So a lot of 1099 questions. The forgiveness. Yeah, there is no forgiveness in EIDL. EIDL basically is a 30-year loan at 3.75% interest. So there is no, everybody asks me from time to time, are they ever considering forgiving the EIDL loans? As far as I know, no. And I think you want to put in, I'm not sure what Amanda's email is. Is it PPP 2021?
Yep.
Yeah, you want to, somebody asked for Amanda's contact
Let
information.
me do that real quick.
Now, as far as I know, because I talk to Amanda probably every couple of days. The only way and the best way to reach her is by email. That's, I can call her personally because I know her personally as a friend. As far as when it comes to you reaching out to her, and if I was reaching out to her for business reasons, definitely use the email. Officially, these slides, Chimping, are yours to use as you want, but officially I can't say that you can distribute them. Okay.
Well, it's recorded. So
That's
this
fine.
is recorded. We're going to put on YouTube Live later. We're on
That's
Facebook
fine.
Live. So in case you need to rewatch it, you're probably better with Joe staying and explaining to you than actually you just reading it. So we'll definitely disperse the slides and also the YouTube link after the meeting here.
Okay. I'm looking for frequently asked questions on the thing. Okay. Are EIDL advance payments of interest on mortgage obligations eligible for loan forgiveness? Are advance payments of interest? No, it's only interest you pay. So it's only for the months, the 8 or 24 weeks of the covered period. You can't pay interest on advance using EIDL funds. What effect does the borrower's reduction in employee salaries and wages have on the loan forgiveness amount? If you have to cut your employees' pay because of, you're on a reduced operation or something to that effect, as long as you don't reduce them by more than 25%, you're still eligible for forgiveness. How should borrowers seeking loan forgiveness account for a reduction in base and reduction in number of employees relative to the reduction relating to salary and wages? This is a crazy question. I'm not going to answer it. Can borrowers switch from an 8-week period to a 24-week covered period? Absolutely. And a lot of you independent contractors, you should use a 24-week period, even if you really disperse the money in 8. You should say 24 weeks because then you get full forgiveness. Forgiveness applications began, they were forgiven starting August 10th. So that's still in play. Let me see if there's anything else. Yeah, that was the only questions I had. Is there a second round of EIDL? Yes, there's a second round of EIDL. There's also a second round of EIDL Advanced. So let me cover that real quickly. The EIDL Advanced second version is going to be really focused on minority and underserved communities. So for all intents and purposes, what's happening is 2 things. The SBA is sending out an email. If you receive an email and it states that we understand you received the EIDL Advance the first time, but you didn't receive the full $10,000, they're going to give you the opportunity to get the difference. So say you only got $2,000, not the full 10, they're going to send you the additional 8 if you request it. On the EIDL Advance 2 or second version, they will contact you if you are a business that is in a minority or underserved community. EIDL Advance is not going to be open to all people, just to those in the underserved and minority communities. And then EIDL Advance or EIDL, the program itself, which was supposed to end on December 31st, 2020, is now ending to December 31st, 2021. And the PPP program, PPP2, for those who are not aware, I alluded to it earlier. If you want to do a PPP2 application, you have to have that application in before March 31st. Yes. Okay. I think that's it. Is
I
there
have
any
questions. I have questions. I want to clarify for people.
Okay.
So questions about like the typical Uber and Lyft drivers, can they be combining Uber and Lyft
Yes,
1099s.
up to $100,000. Yes, they can use their 1099Ks is what they usually get from Uber and Lyft. And yes, they can use it up to $100,000.
Right. And a lot of banks, are they really open to, oh, yes, I kind of want to, so now that you did mention, a lot of banks are allowing people to use 1099, say apply, but some of them may also still ask for the Schedule C. Do we need to provide that to them?
Say that again.
So
Sorry.
if you're applying, if you're using 1099 or 1099K to apply, do you need to provide Schedule C as well or not?
With some lenders, yes, you absolutely have to provide it. Some lenders, no.
Okay, so the question is the answer is some lenders. So Adria just said, I'm an Uber driver. This is the time you definitely want to connect with Amanda or connect with the person who invited you, because you could actually use the 1099 or 1099K to get approved with much higher amounts.
Yes, because of use your Schedule C, they're going to go by line 31 in your Schedule C, which is going to be your actual income less all your expenses, and you're going to end up in a situation where you're not going to get a very large PPP loan. Again, what you have to do is certain banks that we're aware of are just asking for the 1099, and it's that simple.
Okay, well, I think we answered all the questions here. If no one else have questions, then we're probably just gonna have Honey, I'm gonna have Joe off the line, and then I could actually just, and Amanda's gonna show up probably or after 1 or 1 o'clock. So if you guys want to talk to Amanda, we could actually have a Q&A session with Amanda in a bit. But for me, I'm just gonna have the panel open just so in case people still want to talk. But yeah, anyone else have questions for Joe? Or if not, we're gonna let him go because he does have very busy schedule.
Yeah, unmute yourself and ask. I've got like 2 questions. Time for 2 more questions.
So question, is 1099 paying ourselves tax deductible? If you are at 1099 and you receive the money, is that tax deductible?
No, I mean, if you receive compensation of any type, it's taxable. I mean, it's America. So any compensation you receive is taxable over $600, I think is the number. So yeah.
So it's tax deductible. Awesome, great.
No, it's taxable.
Oh, it's taxable.
Yeah,
Okay.
revenue is taxed. Revenue is taxed.
Right,
Expenses are the deduction.
Okay, so 1099. So if you are independent contractor who are applying and you received, so the money is going to be taxable.
Taxable, yes. You usually include it on a Schedule C in your personal tax returns. If you're,
But for W-2, it's tax deductible.
well, a W-2, you're an employee of someone else. Your income, your paid income is still taxable,
Right.
but then you have expenses against it as well.
Okay.
The SBA is paying my existing SBA loan for 6 months. Is that taxable? That's a good question. I think they may send you a 1099K for that. If they send you a 1099 for paying for those, that would be taxable. That is compensation. But since it's going to your business, it may not be. That's something I have to look into. That's a good question. Z Yang, whoever that is, thank you. Let me find out and I'll let you know, Chen-Ping, what the answer is on that.
Okay, Joe, we need to clarify on the 1099s for that again, because
Okay.
people who have, I received different information from you at a different time before. Okay, so money you receive from, let's go with the number 2 rule that just changed recently. Federally tax, PPP funds are federally tax deductible, right? So that means that just like how you have said, if someone had revenue, say example, $1 million, you don't have to really include that in revenue, but for your P&L, technically you could actually deduct it. Now, is there a difference with 1099s, independent contractors? Can they also not show up on their revenue or their commission or their income coming in? And can they actually count it towards, part of their deductions for the money that they pay themselves?
There's way too many questions in one. any compensation you receive as an individual is taxable. Any compensation, 1099, payroll, anything. On your tax form, it asks you, what did you receive in W-2 income? Okay? On your tax form, if you have a company, if you set up a company and you receive 1099 income, normally you're gonna take that income and put it onto your Schedule C of your personal tax return.
Okay,
And
I
so
got
it could be Joe Amato Uber service. And I get $114,000 from Uber because in my 1099K. So I'm gonna put that $114,000 in my Uber as my compensation, as my income for my little sole proprietor, sole business that I own. But then I got tolls, I got gas, I've got repairs to my car. I've got other expenses that I'm not gonna assess against that $115,000 that I got from Uber. And hopefully at the end of the day, you're gonna have all your expenses, you're gonna put your amount in that you received as an independent contractor in Schedule C, you're having expenses that go against it. And then whatever that bottom line is, line 31, your net profit, that's gonna go on the front page of your personal tax return as taxable income. Okay?
Okay, so I feel like I just want to clarify. Is it, I know that it's almost like a white, a washout, right? Where the money you receive to the individual is taxable for 1099s, but from your company, where it's being dispersed from the company or from your organization, technically you can deduct it.
Yes.
Right. So if they are Uber driver, for example, they apply, they get the maximum funding, let's say 100,000, they get that 20,000, right? They disperse it to themselves. That amount is taxable.
No. Okay. The receipt of money is not taxable. That 20,832, as I said earlier, is not a taxable amount. No.
Okay.
So the
All right.
PPP funds themselves are a grant and they are not taxable. No.
Okay. All right. Got you. So, okay. So it is tax deductible. That's it. Let's just stick with that.
No, it's the wrong, it has no taxable impact.
No
It's
taxable
a
impact.
non-taxable event. You receive PPP funds, it's a non-taxable event. How you expense the PPP funds are taxable or are eligible expenses. But so say your business makes $100,000 and you got $20,832 in PPP funds, and you spent $20,832 on payroll. So that 100,000 doesn't become 120,832. It stays at 100,000. But the expense, the 20,832, is an expense against the 100,000.
That is beautifully answered question, because that was very good. I think everybody really appreciate that. I mean, that's with the Congress as well, a lot of appreciation. So sister said, because W-2 is taxable by the state.
Well, W-2 is taxed, individuals are taxed through their company and they're taxed as individuals. So you get $1,000 a week payroll and you're paying $250 every payroll to federal taxes, $100 every payroll to your state taxes, which we don't have here in Nevada, but you would have in Pennsylvania. So yeah, I mean, every individual is taxed as an individual, but the company is getting PPP in order to pay them so that they have money, and then they're taxed normally as if they're receiving regular compensation.
Yes, definitely no double tax. No double tax.
No. Okay.
That's really good news. Thank you very much, Joe. We are at 1 hour here, and I guess we're just waiting for we're just gonna wait for Amanda to hop on real quick in case anyone else have questions or any idea if they want to learn a little bit more about the lender she's going through and how does she work. But that's all we have here for Joe, and he does have a very busy schedule. I hope that through this session here, we are able to create more awareness. Some of you guys didn't know you could apply. This is the time to share with your friends and family. Let them know to hop on. And if you guys want to be in network with us, especially remember that picture I told you, screenshot, add our information so we could add you onto the Facebook Messenger group, or we could add you onto the WeChat groups that Joe is actually personally involved in. He has been definitely generously answering a lot of questions, which he doesn't have to, but he has been. So thank you very much, Joe. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Thanks for this opportunity. We'll do it again if you need me, okay?
Sounds good.
I gotta
Definitely.
get off and get to another meeting. Thanks, guys. Everybody,
Thank
good luck. Be
Thank
safe.
you.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Good luck, bullish. Okay, we're gonna. Oh, Amanda's here. Amanda, you look very nice and cozy there.
I am. I have been working since the wee hours of the morning, so excuse me. for my
That's okay. You don't need to look great. What we need is just your knowledge and your network and what you're gonna offer, right?
Yep.
Okay, guys. Oh, let me add. All right, guys. So you guys just hear from Joe right here. It is definitely my honor to invite Amanda. She's also very, very busy, but she's busy approving or busy getting people's money out there and also maximizing everyone's money.
Yep.
So yes, anyways, I'm really excited to introduce Amanda. You know, I met Amanda through Joe. Joe said, Champagne, contact me privately and I'll send you a contact for application. And I'm like, okay, let me do that. So that's how we were connected and we know each other for a long time now. Since
Yep.
the first of PPP, we were able to apply and get a lot of grants. I don't know. Last time we were doing tracking, I think we said through our network, we'd help more than 200 business owners, but I think we did more than that, right, Amanda?
Yeah, I mean, for a large majority of the clients that we helped came through your network, and overall we were able to help 1,500 businesses get access to PPP funding. So it was a great opportunity for all of us to give back to so many business owners throughout the United States who really needed the money during the initial round and now continuing to need that money in the current days. So, yeah.
Thank you, Amanda. And so here I'm gonna actually open. Do we need slides or anything? Do you have slides, Amanda, or you just?
I
wanna
don't have
open
slides.
for
I was
questions?
just going to get on and answer questions if we can
Okay.
do it that way.
Sounds good. I like that. We're going to be taking it casual. Okay.
Yep.
So I just want to bring everybody, create an awareness, so in case some of you guys for a first time, just getting to know, Amanda and the bank that she's going through. I know that for PPP2, a lot of the people that we know applied so far, they're probably going to be getting funded either this week or very soon upcoming.
Yes.
Would you like to share with us on some of the updates so far
Yeah.
on PPP2 and PPP1?
Yeah, so just from a process perspective, so everyone knows kind of what we go through. The first thing that we ask you to do is complete a DocuSign form with us. And that's basically a way for us to gather all the information that we need to facilitate the process with lender. So what my team does is we review those documents, we make sure that they're accurate. We make sure that we maximize your loan amount, which is probably the biggest value driver that we can offer because a lot of people don't know the nuances that we know. And so we review it, make sure everything's together, and then we submit it to the lender. Once the lender receives it, then they do a review, then it goes to underwriting, then it goes to getting SBA approval. Once the SBA has approved it, then you will get your closing documents in the application. And I think the application's coming maybe even before the SBA approval, looking at the timelines that people are telling me. But so you'll get an official application to sign from the lender. It'll go to the SBA for approval. You'll get the closing documents, and then right after that, you will get funded. So that's kind of the process that we work through. And that's the same whether you're a first draw or second draw person who's requesting a loan. So seems to be working better now. I think there were some hiccups with the SBA changing their process on their side, which was slowing down our process, unfortunately, but things are definitely working very, very well over the last couple of days. We're seeing a lot more applications go out and a lot more people getting approved for the SBA loans.
That's thank you, Amanda, for the
Yeah.
answer here. So
Yeah.
one of the question I asked Joe earlier, and pretty much, coming across some of the people who apply with PPP-1 elsewhere, but they have hard time finding out what is their SBA loan number, and
Yes.
also what is their loan amount. I mean, some people are not even certain because of the idle advance money was taken away. So they're confused on what is the amount.
So here's some good news, and this is just as of like 2 days ago. So we just need that SBA loan number. If you guys can get us the SBA loan number, the system automatically pulls out the amount. So we don't necessarily need the full amount, although getting close would be beneficial so we can double check everything. But the most important thing to get right is that SBA loan number, because otherwise we cannot even put your application into the lender. Like, it's a hard stop. We can't move forward. So now where to find that is the question, particularly for Bank of America people. I see a lot more Bank of America people coming through. And unfortunately, what I'm noticing is that the Bank of America documentation that says, here's your SBA loan number, I think is a Bank of America SBA loan number and not your official SBA loan number. So it might require a call or an email to find out what that actual number is. Otherwise, worst case scenario, I know I've taken a couple of requests in and we've been working with the SBA to see if we can find out those loan numbers too. So that's basically what's going on. But I find it very difficult, I think mostly for B of A people that are struggling with that.
Okay, so we did hear from Joe earlier. He said that provide name of company, money
Yep.
amount to Amanda, and Amanda will ask his staff.
That's what I've been doing. That is what I've been doing. So
Yeah.
yes, if you're struggling with it and you can't figure it out, or if the bank's not getting back to you, send us a note, send me a note, PPP. Have we put the email in the chat yet?
Yeah, we did. We're gonna send it
Okay.
again.
Okay, so send an email to my team and we will get it over to the SBA to see what we can find out.
Okay, any questions here? Everybody's being awfully quiet today.
Yeah, ask away. That's why I'm here. So if you have questions, concerns, anything you want to share, I'm more than happy to answer any questions. Or did Joe just do such a stellar
Hey.
job that there are none?
I have a question.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Let's see. We have
Just
Priscilla.
asking Chen Ping, do we have a Chinese session later on?
If people are needing a Chinese
You got it?
session,
Do we?
I think Quinn and I could be. I don't think everybody's muted here.
Last
So
time the first time of PPP, we did have a Chinese session. Right?
yeah, and we actually had one a couple weeks ago together. We did a Chinese version. I'm not sure if you recorded it and maybe you could provide it. But yeah, we've done a couple of the Chinese sessions in the past.
Yeah, and we're gonna do it again.
I'm just going to start looking at the chat. So Vo, I know we've worked on your application. So thank you for that. Yeah, we're having a hard time hearing you, whoever is speaking right now.
Yeah, thank you.
Is that just me? Or is-
Okay, Priscilla, we're having a hard time. We cannot hear you. We cannot hear you, Priscilla. Any questions you have, you probably have to ask us on the side or text on the chat because you're
yeah.
really hard to hear you.
Okay. So
Yeah, it's not you. It's hard to. Yeah.
Okay, so Meepo, the closing documents are coming from Greater Commercial Lending. So they're not coming directly from the SBA, they're coming from Greater Commercial Lending or Greater Nevada, as you have there.
Okay.
So the deadline for application, the official deadline as it stands right now is March 31st. But for us to get your application in and through the process, don't wait for the last minute,
Okay.
please. if you can get it in.
Let me check.
Who is talking here?
So if everyone can get their applications in by at least mid-March, by March 15th, that would be greatly appreciated. We had a huge wave of last minute applications last time around. And unfortunately, sometimes we just can't get them in fast enough before the window closes. So the sooner the better. And
Okay.
it is a first come, first draw program. So right now, we're not expecting the money to run out before the deadline, but it is a first come, first serve.
Okay, so we have, so first what I was trying to ask, PPP applications has to be from applicants who has green card or citizens, is that right?
Yep, green card and above.
Yep, green card and above. Okay, we have one question. PPP one is okay, they applied with Amanda, and then email saying,
Yeah,
the loan has been sold to Fountainhead.
Yes.
Okay, that's fine.
Yep.
请问这是
and so Kevin, expect that also with, I don't know exactly what's going to happen, but I wouldn't be surprised if Fountainhead services this next round too. So we're applying with Greater Commercial Lending, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that's who's going to service the loan. So it's a very common thing in the industry. For those who applied through us the first time, Fountainhead Commercial Capital is the one that you would apply for forgiveness with. And maybe Shimping, I can just send something that you can post on WeChat to say, here's how you go through forgiveness.
Yeah.
The one thing that I do recommend is that you get your second draw loan application in first, get that done, and then focus on forgiveness.
Okay, so Amanda just said, get your PPP 2 money first and then apply for loan forgiveness. I actually personally have checked the Fountainhead loan forgiveness process. It seems like very, very easy. And
It
I
is.
have been in contact with Walter, the VP with Fountainhead, and he's been updating and he's always working on his end. So I feel like I don't think we're really at a rush. Get your PPP money first and then apply right away. And that's also the reason why we are not too much in a hurry. We want to get more people to apply for PPP2 here.
Yeah.
Okay, and then we have sister here. I'm not exactly sure. She said that she would like to recommend this company called Most CDFI LLC. They have an office here. And so then again, if they are a organization where they could maximize, like get 10 approved 1099s with the higher amount instead of the Schedule C lower amount, go for it. We're not going to say either or. But Amanda has been a source where we know she has been funding a lot of 1099s and 1099Ks, where a lot of people are getting their maximum funding. So that's the reason why we're pushing it. And also personally, we know a lot of people who have gotten money from Amanda. So we just want, that's just our push here. Yeah.
Okay. Can I ask question from Amanda?
Sure.
Okay, Amanda, I applied for I got PPP, and
Yes.
then I got the IDO, and then because the first time I went through Blue Vine.
Yep.
Yeah, and then but I got rejected. But I think they get my information wrong because they say the reason I got rejected because my revenue loss is less than 25%, but my at least 1 or 2 quarter of my revenue is lost more than 25%.
Yeah.
So question is if I switch to ask you to help me to apply, can I reapply again?
Yes, you may.
Oh, so okay, so I just email you, right?
Right. Email me and we'll start the process for you.
Perfect. And how about the IDO, the second round IDO?
So EIDL is direct with the SBA again. So I would highly recommend going out to the SBA's website if you want to apply for the EIDL Express Advance program that's out there. That is definitely something that's advantageous for most of us. So please check that out. But that's not that the SBA is working directly with borrowers and not going through a lender on that program.
Oh, so it's, but have they start yet?
Yes, I believe there's information out on the website for the EIDL advance. So I'm not sure if they've actually opened applications at this point, but I would highly recommend going out there and researching it.
Well, okay, thank you.
Okay.
So I have two companies, so I can both the first round I get approval. So this time, so two of the company I can ask you to help me to do it, right?
Yes, yes, you may.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Hello, Amanda.
Yes.
Oh, good. So I have a quick question with them. So I have helped this one lady owning a business here, and originally the approved amount was 6,200, and I'm not just going to hold back the bank's name while it was Chase.
Yeah.
So they took back 2,500, and we were trying to figure out how much she should file for forgiveness. And from the answer I got from Joseph, it seems like it should be the total amount, and we should get back the 2,500 somehow. I just don't know the somehow start from where. I mean, do we talk to Chase? Is there a form we can fill so we can register it, and then there's a tracking number? How we go about this? And then if she's going to file for forgiveness before the second round, how much she should fill in for 3,500 or 6,200? Do you know?
So I'm still not quite sure why Chase did that. But my advice on that would be to apply for the full amount of forgiveness. And due to the recent changes in the regulation around the EIDL advance question, they should be providing her the full forgiveness amount on that money. I'm not quite sure what Chase is going to do with the 2,500 that they pulled back, if they're also going to refund that. That's completely up to them, but I would go ahead and apply for the full forgiveness amount.
And then
According,
figure out.
so I want to add, according to Joe, he says that the bank has to return the funds. So
Yeah,
I
They're
think
supposed to.
that part we're certain. Now, how we go about it, it's kind of like, is there a form we can fill in so we can have a tracking system? Because I went to Chase with her, and from the encounter I had with Chase, they don't have anyone have specific answer for anybody. So if that's the case, then we know they're accountable. How we hold them? How would this pan out for this individual?
So unfortunately, I don't have much of an answer for you because it's not a lender that I work with, right? So I work with lenders that, first of all, didn't do that to their clients.
Right. It's just very,
you know
very
what,
particular, this bank. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't
You know
know if
what?
any other bank.
sister, I think that on Facebook, I saw SBA had an ad about abuse, and they have a hotline for it. I'm gonna pass that on a WeChat group, and you can go look into that hotline, because that, if they're doing it nationally with everybody, that is
So it's not
really, that's
it's not
some
just for
issue
her.
there, because it's not just you. I know a lot of people.
Do we
who have
know?
gone through that.
Do we know any other bank do this to any other people? Do we know? It's just Chase or any other bank?
I'm not sure. I do know of Chase, but I'm not sure. It's a much broader question. I know that my two lenders that I work with did not. So yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
And we have your email as GNCU forgiveness review at biz2credit.com.
That is the email that is used for the closing documents. We can put my email in there again. I'm doing it right now.
Okay.
But I'm glad that I'm glad that you're here in Vegas. So am I.
Yeah. Good. So I wanted to bring out this company helped us out. So my dad owns a bunch of restaurants on East Coast, Virginia, Maryland, and the DC area. So this company towards the last 4 days, close to the deadline, the Blue Vine said refused us because we cannot gather everybody to sign the documents because all the owners scattered across the nation. Anyhow, so they just outright rejected us. We left with just 4 more days, and this company I found online, they helped us, and we, I mean, last minute we got them, and they really helped us. And when you're talking about the maximum amount of the PPP found,
Okay.
they did that.
Sister, that's good. I'm glad, because there are some really great companies. There's some not really great companies. So I'm glad that you were able to find someone to help at the last minute. We also helped quite a few people at the last moment the last time around.
Right.
So it's nice that there's service providers out there for sure. So we probably should get to, there's several other questions coming in from folks, so we should probably get to those. So
what company do you work for? And I mean, this is the first time. Obviously, I don't know like which company you're working for and how it's going to work.
I work for. I actually own my own company. It's HPP, and the email address is hppcoach.com if you want to look us up on the website. But basically, we have we're an agent for 2 lenders. And the lenders are Greater Commercial Lending and Fountainhead Commercial Capital. And we act as an extension of their team to review applications, provide customer service, and help do calls like this. So we can educate folks on what the process is. And we get paid by the lenders, so there's no cost to anyone who would go through us as a service.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I see. So you coach on what, business performance or?
I have a lot of aspects of my business, but this particular part is all about Paycheck Protection Program. So as part of my company originally, we have lending partners and a really great relationship with the SBA. So when the crisis hit, we decided to get into helping as many companies as we could get access to PPP funding.
Cool. Nice. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That ends my question. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yeah, if anyone needed Chinese translate to English, I'm here. I mean, if there's something I can help with, I volunteer myself.
Okay.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Thank you, sister. We're always on. We're on WeChat. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you.
Yes. Okay. So we have
So we're going to send out where to apply for forgiveness, and there's an online link for everyone that came through my service before. There's an online portal to Fountainhead. So we'll get that out in WeChat. So let's see, we already answered that one. You should apply for PPP2 money before you apply for PPP1 forgiveness. So just to make sure that that's all clear to everyone. Just scrolling through. So if you're in the middle of your PPP loan forgiveness, I don't know what that means because it's not really, there's not a, like, either you've submitted or you haven't. So I'm not sure where you're exactly at in the process, but again, I would highly recommend if you could focus on PPP2 first, get that in, and then do your forgiveness next. That would be the best way to go. And if you're saying you're in the middle, as in I've submitted, but I haven't heard back yet, you don't have to wait. So go ahead and apply for your PPP2 loan and we'll be good to go.
okay. So we have Priscilla here who wants to raise her hand. Hopefully her connection is a little bit better now.
Okay.
Okay. Hey, Amanda, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
The PPP loan application, the applicant need to hold the green card or
Yes,
or citizen.
It's a green card and above program. So so if you can show us your green card and above, if we ask, most of the time we don't have to ask because you have a driver's license or something like that that we can work off of. But it does need to be green card above. So if you ever get questioned, if we didn't question it, you might get questioned. So just know that the requirement is pretty clear cut that it has to be green card and above.
Okay, and my friend actually she's in the process of the green card, so still not a count, right?
That's correct. She
In
has
the
to have-
process.
yeah, she has to have her green card by the time the application goes in.
Gotcha.
Okay, we have 2 raised
Thank
hands here. Let's see
you.
who rose their hand. Sylvie Huang, you can unmute yourself.
Sylvia, you're still muted if you're trying to talk. There you go.
Okay, thank you. So I got my PPP1 loan from Shauna, but the company is same as from Amanda's application. It's a Fountainhead.
Fountainhead, yep.
Yeah. So I just look at their website for PPP1 forgiveness. It's it's old and very complicated. Ask to submit a lot of documents which I don't have because I have a 1099. So I'm wondering, can I use the same link you are going to give us for the Frontier?
Yeah, so Fountainhead, so just so you know, for 1099s who are applying for forgiveness through Fountainhead, they'll ask for documents like your 940s, your 941s. You just upload your 1099s. So for whatever documents you don't have that are related to payroll, upload your 1099 instead. That's what I did for my personal one. So there's, so that's what we would recommend, and we can put that in the WeChat too. But thanks for bringing that up.
Shauna helped me at the time when she helped me to apply for PPP1. She used my Schedule C. So I don't know, do I need to upload that?
Yes, you would. If you used your Schedule C for the basis of your loan, you would need to upload that.
So because none of them are, I mean, for the documents, for their requirements, none of them require 1099 or Schedule C. So should I just randomly upload them?
You would upload your Schedule C wherever they're asking for a document related to payroll that you don't have. So for instance, I think they always ask for a 940 or a 941. And if you're a Schedule C, you don't have that. So you would just upload your Schedule C.
Okay. Another thing is, I just check on the website, and they said that the idle advance that will be deducted from the loan forgiveness.
That has changed. So about 4 weeks ago that changed. They probably just have not updated their website at this moment in time.
So can I just don't enter any number there?
Don't enter any number there.
Okay. And
Yep.
yeah, so they ask for SBA idle account number. Is it?
You
Yeah.
You don't need to put that in there either.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, all right. Yeah, okay, Sylvie, so I would have, yeah, I think we communicated a couple times already. And for Fountainhead, they're definitely working on it. But right now, definitely, I will encourage everyone to work on PPP2 first. And then as time go by, when the loan once most people receive their funds, we're definitely going to be starting to do the, Fountainhead questions. We may even ask Fountainhead to hop on Zoom. I mean, the way Zoom works is just awesome. He's been, Walter has been great. So we could even do that. So I have a question here. They said that I have received PPP loan first, or a first loan, but I have not received it yet. Am I eligible to apply for PPP2?
It really depends on when they applied for PPP1. So in this last round, if you applied for PPP1, then you cannot apply for PPP2. So is that what
I think the
Maybe
question is more, so the question is more like if they have received the funds or not. If they receive the funds, then they can apply for PPP too. But if they haven't received the funds, they're technically still first draw, right?
Yeah, they're first draw. So, but I want to be clear that if they applied for first round PPP funds in this latest, like over the last 3 or 4 weeks, you can't apply for PPP2 once you get those funds. Like it's one or the other. And I get that question a lot because I completely understand where they're coming from. But it is, if you applied in the last 4 weeks for PPP1, you cannot turn around and apply for PPP2 right away. Okay, it's one or the other.
So the answer for it is more like, if you missed the first time getting PPP1, you missed it. So you probably would still be considered as first draw and you cannot get to PPP2. PPP2 is really only for people who did get the money the first time, not this time, PPP2 around this time where you apply and get the money.
Right.
Yeah, okay. I just want to clarify that. All right, I think Ursula also want to ask a question again. So let's
Okay.
open that.
Yes. Hey, Amanda.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. My question is actually I already got my first round PPP last June. I have not done the application for the forgiveness yet. Do you think I still have the time to?
We lost you, Priscilla.
What do I need to do to? Huh? I'm sorry.
We lost,
Yeah.
you broke up a little bit. And if you're asking about what to do for forgiveness, we'll send it out in the WeChat. I wasn't, so we can give you the details around the link and what to do. But again, apply for your second round first and then apply for forgiveness.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. My first question.
They already answered this question a couple times already.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Can I? What is it?
Yeah, Priscilla,
Okay,
your phone's breaking up a bit. So
okay. So I'm sorry. So do I still get a time to do the forgiveness for the first round PPP?
you still have time, yes, to do it. Technically you have up to 10 months post when you received the funds originally to apply for forgiveness. So there's still time for most people.
Okay. All right.
Great.
It's actually.
Thank you, Ursula, for the question.
Yeah.
Great.
We
Yeah,
have
good to know. And
Okay.
okay, and then we have Hung Huan here. I had a fund for the first draw, but I haven't received a fund for second draw. So can I apply for loan forgiveness now?
I would wait until you receive the funds. Wait until you receive the funds and then apply.
So Amanda, so I actually started, I was just telling Amanda to follow on some of the lists. Amanda, you saw the list last night, right?
I did, yes, yep.
Was that helpful?
It is helpful. And I actually received a really great report from the lender today. So I'll be reaching out to several people who have received a note from the lender asking for additional information. So I'll be following up on all of those too.
Okay, sounds good. So in case anybody did reach out to us and having complications, we would actually need your name, the application name on your application. And you could give us the email and we could actually forward to Amanda with a list. So that way, in case, you know, we need her attention, she can actually look into it as well. Yeah. I'm going to tell everybody in our organization to start doing that, because I know we get quite a decent amount of people who are reaching out for various scenarios.
Yes. Yep. I hear you. And a lot of the stuff we can resolve fairly quickly with the lender. So we're here to help facilitate that process. So we will continue to help out in any way we can.
Is that your dog?
That is my dog. My kids
Oh.
keep on ringing my doorbell, which is a lot of fun when you're on a Zoom meeting.
Okay, all right. I was scared, definitely. Okay. So does anyone else have questions? I see that Ursula's hand is, up again. Is that intentional or not intentional? We cannot hear you, Ursula. You need to work on the chat. We cannot hear you. It's so much echo. I'm gonna mute her. And I think that if you watch us on the recording, you will know why. So don't judge me for muting you. Yeah, thank you. All right, if Ursula has some time to type her question on the chat, we'll answer it. If not, I think we're gonna conclude for today. It's been quite some time. Thank you everyone for being on the chat with us. Ursula, if it's urgent, please type your question. We're not going to be able to hear you today, unfortunately. Data does not allow you to. But if anyone else have questions, feel free to ask us. If not, we're actually going to end this chat or end this Zoom, so that way Amanda can continue with more of your applications and get more money out as soon as possible.
I am so thankful that we do these sessions. So thank you for bringing everyone together, and I'm here to help as much as I can. So I just put my email address again in the chat. If anyone wants to reach out, either if you have a question on an existing application or if you want to submit a new one, feel free to email us at that email.
Yep. And you guys probably have you probably know how to find us. You got onto this chat for somehow, some way, right? So if you need help, reach out to the person who connected with you so you can hop on or get connected with us. And if you are on WeChat, we're going to add you on WeChat. If you're on Facebook, we're going to add you on Facebook Messenger, just so we can continuously give you guys updates and feed you the updated information. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.
Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye, Amanda. Thank you for hopping on.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.